Welcome to the Bread Box, the channel dedicated to Commodore computers. Today I'm unboxing 4 huge boxes of VIC-20 items that turned up. What's inside all of them? Let's check it out right now. Because these boxes are so huge, I couldn't actually put them onto the video, so I'm just going to pull a handful of things out each time and we'll see what I can find in these boxes. Don't forget to also watch my other videos on this channel as well, please. Really appreciate your support. So far is obviously the Music Composer cartridge. We've also got a couple of floppies, Zork 1. Never actually played that game before. More manuals. This is handy. I've actually unboxed a whole bunch of tapes that had night moves in there but didn't have instructions, so now I've got the instructions. Obviously they're very useful and dusty programmer's guide as well for the Commodore 64, so obviously there's going to be a few other things in here as well, not just VIC-20 things by the looks of it. Well, wait, this proves the point. AMIGA 500 manual and AMIGA basic manual as well, so this looks like it might be a bit of a mixed match. Oh, this is perfect. This is the Mega Cart. Have you heard of this before? It's quite rare now. Only a limited amount were made, and I'll do a separate video on this because it's quite an interesting history about this cart. Okay, so now we've got our first VIC-20. I'll just make some room on the table. This is not my usual unboxing table. We're doing some renovations, so basically I'm just putting everything on this tiny little table. I may run out of room, so I have to jiggle things around a bit. Okay, so it's a really nice condition manual, and by the looks of it, it's a really nice condition VIC-20 as well. Inside this part of the compartment, we've got the normal things like the AC or the power supply unit, the RF modulator, external RF modulator, and looks like a audio cassette as well. But let's have a look at the VIC-20 because that's the most exciting part. It's a really good condition VIC-20. One of the last ones I unboxed was very yellowed. So this is a pristine looking Commodore VIC-20, and it's also one of the earlier models as well. It's got that 2-prong power plug rather than the normal standard Commodore plug. Yeah, so it is reasonably lowish serial number. But that's a very nice condition VIC-20, isn't it? Alright, so there's another VIC-20 in that box as well. This one, but the box is not that great condition, but that's okay. And this is actually the style of box I'm more used to when I see a VIC-20. I don't usually see these smaller boxes. I'm not too sure if they were just varieties that were sold around, but that's the one I'm usually used to. It looks a bit like the Commodore 64 box, this one here, with a different sleeve. And obviously that smaller box had less polystyrene as well, so maybe that was a bit more of an environmentally friendly version of the packaging. Who knows? Okay, so the most important thing is not to hear me dribble and talk, is to check out these awesome machines. So I always either open up these boxes upside down or the wrong way around. So okay, this is a huge power supply unit. I've never seen a power supply unit for a VIC-20 this big before. But it is an original Commodore one, so it must be a standard one. That is huge. What a beast. And you can see how the chemicals and the power cables have eaten into the polystyrene, because these have been stored for many years apparently. Just lucky it hasn't eaten into the VIC-20. Oh, look at that. It's even got the plastics all over the label as well. Now that's pretty cool. And this is another nice looking VIC-20. It's got a couple of little marks on it, but otherwise looks pretty pristine. And it's another early version of the VIC-20. That's a really nice condition unit. Alright, so what else is in this box? I'm just grabbing handfuls of things as I go. Just to, it would be so much more easier if I actually had these boxes on the table. But as I mentioned, small table, huge boxes, it didn't quite work. This is the Bug joystick. Interesting thing about this little joystick, other than being very cute, it's got 2 joystick cables. I can assume that's so you can either choose joystick port 1 or 2. Who knows? Okay, so we've got the reference guide. We've got a Commodore 64 user manual, the manual for the data set, obviously, which is here as well, and a bunch of cables, and Ah, this is interesting. I've not seen one of these before. It looks a bit like a SD to 2IC device, but using a CF card. I think that's what those are called. I'm not sure what that big long white plug is for, or the connection. If anyone knows, can you please let me know? That'd be quite handy to know. Obviously it plugs into the data set and also the serial port, but the other connection, not sure. Alright, now also we have the data set, which is pretty standard by the looks of it. Yep, we've all seen those before. I'm already running out of space. In that same box, that huge box, this was Commodore 64 as well. And a whole bunch of other things. Let's have a look. This cartridge calc result. And the action replay cartridge. That was awesome cartridge. I saw in Zap magazine, and I ended up getting the final cartridge 3 because I couldn't afford the action replay cartridge. And we've got another user manual for the Commodore 64. Interesting, this has not actually got the ring binding on it. It's I've not seen one like this, which is a soft bound sort of version. I have actually seen hard bound versions and also soft bound versions of the Commodore 64 Programmer's Guide, but not the user manual. Okay, let's open up this Commodore 64. And as I mentioned, I always open up the look at that. It's again, the cables are starting to eat into the polystyrene. I'm just lucky they aren't wrapped around the Commodore 64 or the VIC-20s. And that's a good tip. If you're going to store your VIC-20s or your Commodores or anything valuable, don't wrap around the power cables around your device because it'll eventually eat into it. Okay, this nice looking Commodore 64 bread bin or bread box. Look at that. I'm going to do a restoration job right now. Done, just like new. Ah, that's interesting. It obviously has Jiffy DOS in there or some sort of modification, and also a reset button being installed as well. I'll definitely look into this later on. Okay, box number 2. Box number 1 was pretty good, I must admit. Let's see what's in box number 2. Okay, I didn't realize I'd actually not pushed record, so I've pulled a few things out before I noticed that I hadn't pushed record, so that's okay. They were just mainly boxes and manuals and stuff like that. So here we've got some paddles for the Commodore, and also a very rare plastic bag. Those things are getting rarer and rarer here in New Zealand because they've been banned for almost a year, I think now. Okay, a bunch of floppy disks. Okay, what else have we got on this box number 2? Okay, well, a quick shot joystick. Went through heaps of these back in the 80s when I'm playing games like Combat School with my friends. Great joystick, easy to break though. Okay, so we've got more floppy disks. And this next thing is interesting. Actually, Road Race. This is a VIC-20 cartridge, but there's nothing in here. But this is interesting. There's obviously a ribbon cable and an adapter for the Commodore, either I suppose VIC-20 or the Commodore 64, to be able to plug in a Centronics printer. I think this is what this would be for. I've not seen a style like this one before. I'll have to give this a go. But obviously it plugs straight into the back of the Commodore, and the printer cable plugs into the top. Yep, that sort of makes sense to me. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. Alright, so another VIC-20. Man, I love getting boxed Commodores. It's so cool. Actually, this box here, again, is that style of Commodore 64 style box I'm used to. This box's sleeve is in a lot better condition. Okay, let's get that the right way around. Yep, another good looking Commodore VIC-20. And another power cable. and RF external RF modulator. But you notice the cables, of course, have been eating at that polystyrene. And this is actually the more standard sort of version of the power cable connection on this VIC-20 compared to those two-prong versions I opened before. This one's actually obviously a later model, but it's in slightly worse condition than the other ones. But still, hey, no complaints here. And I've got a couple of little manuals for some software. Ooh, wow. Actually, I'm very surprised that this cable didn't eat into the VIC-20, because it's eaten into that polystyrene a lot. Wow, that's actually made a bit of mincemeat of this polystyrene. Luckily, it hasn't eaten into the VIC-20 yet. But given a couple more years in storage, it may very well have gouged into the VIC-20. And next we have what looks like a Commodore 1541, and also some tapes, and also Commodore 64 cartridges. Let's have a look at this 1541 disk drive though. Well, as you can see, this is actually a VIC 1540 disk drive. This is an earlier version of the 1541 Commodore disk drive. The VIC 1540, there's a lot of numbers there, it's actually a bit more rarer than the 1541. Okay, I'm just grabbing another handful of cartridges, and there's more in here. I'll just grab these ones as well. Okay, that's a good selection of VIC-20 cartridges. I'll just get rid of these tapes first of all. They look like they're just mainly backups or copies of tapes. Oh, there's a couple originals in there. Mixtape. But I'm really interested in what these cartridges are. Oh, there you go. There's a couple originals. Okay, I'll just get those out of the way. Let's have a look at these cartridges. So we've got AMIGA race. I'll just make some space here because obviously there's quite a few cartridges involved. Next we have Adventureland. It's an interesting version of a 16K memory expansion cartridge. I've not seen one like this before. Very weighty. It's got a lot of weight behind it. It's very heavy. And next we have Voodoo Castle. Machine Language Monitor cartridge. Pirates Cove. It's another 16K RAM expansion card. Again, very weighty. These things have got a bit of weight behind them. Next we have the Jupiter Landing. And a Super Expander with 3K RAM cartridge. Alright, let's get this box open because there's more cartridges in here. First of all, here's a dust cover for a VIC-20 or a Commodore 64. That's in really good condition. Okay, so it's the instructions for a game. We've got some original tape games for the VIC-20, I believe. These are distributed by Alpine from memory. Alright, let's get back into these cartridges. We have the Visible Solar System, Sargon 2 Chess. Got another tape from Alpine Computing. A couple more tapes. Original software for the VIC-20. Trader by Pixel, I believe. And oh, look at that, we've got a label for a Commodore 64C. That's quite handy. I'm not missing any of those so far, but I can keep that aside and obviously use it later on. And I just noticed something else in that little container underneath those tapes is a VIC-20 label. They'll come in handy if any of the VIC-20s that might be in these boxes are missing a label. Alright, back into those cartridges, we have Jupiter Landing, AMIGA Race, we've got Road Race. Actually, I think I've got that case there. So now I've got the case and also the cartridge. It's handy. I've got Raid on Fort Knox. Then we've got Avenger. The 16K RAM cartridge. Again, another one of those. I'm getting a bit of a collection of those all of a sudden. Notice how the labels are different. One's silver, one's cream. Not sure what the reason is for that. I'm sure someone can let me know in the comments below. Same thing again. Super expanded with 3K RAM cartridge. 2 different labels. Really interesting. Next we have Poker. Mission Impossible. And Programmer's Aid cartridge. Mole Attack. The classic Gorf. And finally, 16K RAM cartridge. It feels like the same sort of weight of a 16K cartridge. And yep, sure enough, another one of those as well. Quite a large collection of cartridges and even more coming up as well. We've got Jupiter Landing. We've got another 16K RAM cartridge and some random VIC-20 tapes as well. That was quite a good collection of cartridges for the VIC-20 in that box. I've just set up the camera so I can just pull out these cables, these power supplies, because it's a bit of a rat's nest in here of cables. This is interesting. This is a black power supply unit for Commodore. I've not seen one of these. I assume it's for a +4 maybe, or a C16, depends on the end connection. No, okay, it's the standard Commodore connection. Have you guys seen one of these before? A black power supply unit? It's probably nothing, but if you could let me know in the comments below if you know why Commodore produced some of these in black, because most ones I've seen have always been that beige sort of creamy look. Very interesting. Okay, we've got another power supply brick. I see a couple of interesting things in here. I'll just get all these other power supply units out. A couple of these are classic hard to use Commodore joysticks. My very first joystick was one of these. Speaking of joysticks, this is quite a rare star cursor joystick. These were made in Australia. They're quite collector's items now, and this is in perfect condition. Wow, I didn't think I was going to see 2 of these in one day. I've never actually seen one before in real life, and now I have 2 of them. Another VIC 1540. Now what's interesting about these is that if they have the original chipsets in them, it means they can be quite rare. I'll do a separate video on these. I'll open them up and see if they do have the original chipsets inside them. So check that out on my next video.